Now, while the mainstream media sleeps, my next guest is taking it upon herself to vet the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama. Now, Michelle Malkin says that Mrs. Obama is, quote, fair game in this election, despite the president's prior demands that journalists should, quote, lay off his wife. Now, the hypocrisy of such a request is pretty obvious, considering that the First Lady is currently running around the country promoting her latest book and appearing on numerous television programs, all to push her husband's agenda in the process. And joining me now to tell us more about the campaign to vet Mrs. Obama is the author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, Culture of Corruption, Michelle Malkin. Hi.
Hi.
I read your piece. Its headline was, yes, Michelle Obama is fair game. I think it's fair game. I get a little concerned when you talk about, first of all, I don't think children should be involved ever, period, end of sentence. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. I think she's fair game in as much as anything that she says politically. In other words, if she's going to talk about her husband and promote his agenda and he's the greatest thing, and then at that point she opens herself up to political criticism. Do you agree that has to take place first?
Certainly, and I've done that for the last 5 years. There are very few people in the lapdog media who want to take Michelle Obama on. It isn't merely the statements that she's made in the past, and I think that you and I and a few others during the course of the 2008 campaign stepped up to the plate to talk about all of her disparaging remarks about America, the remarks and the rhetoric that earned her the moniker, in my words, of the bitter half of the Obama administration. But now, over the last 4 years, we have seen not just actions, not just words that are troubling, but actions and behavior and taxpayer-subsidized behavior. It's the cronyism that she has been linked to. It's the junk science that she has used to use this, her bully pulpit to bully food corporations and parents and schools into pursuing the Service Employees International's union agenda. And I talked extensively about that over the last several years and reported on it. It's the cronyism that was involved in her botched attempt to try and get all of her Chicago cronies the Olympics, and how that would have benefited the many people who have been associated with the Chicago team
from
day one.
But you refer to her as the bitter half. I also think another issue involved here that we haven't discussed is their extravagance. If we go back, and the issue came up about, for the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country, and she said it twice, not just once.
Right.
That bothered me. Let's remind people of what she said.
And let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country, because it feels like hope is finally making a comeback.
I mean, that reminded me a little bit what Barack said in San Francisco. Didn't think mics were on about, you know, bitter Americans clinging to their guns, Bible, and religion with an antipathy to those that are not like them. What do you mean by she's the bitter half? Is that a bitter statement?
Of course it is. It's the politics of class warfare that she has been quite the cheerleader for over the last several years, over her entire public career, for that matter. She is as much an ideological hard leftist and progressive as her husband is. And I think that the media, whether it's Soledad O'Brien or Barbara Walters or people like Jon Stewart, have let her get away with it. And all the kid gloves that they treat her with now that she's on this media blitz. And I think that for a woman who so publicly has begrudged people their wealth, that it's about time that people look at how she has spent other people's money. And that includes the $6 million grant that Obamacare money is now funneling to the program that she oversaw when she was at the University of Chicago Medical Center.
Let me ask you this, and that's something that we've covered as well, and I think that's an important issue. But let's go to the issue of the attack on Governor Romney's wife, that, you know, by Hillary Rosen, that she never worked a day in her life. Let's roll this tape.
What you have is Mitt Romney running around the country saying, well, you know, my wife tells me that what women really care about are economic issues. And when I listen to my wife, that's what I'm hearing. Guess what? His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. She's never really dealt with the kinds of economic issues that a majority of the women in this country are facing, in terms of how do we feed our kids, how do we send them to school, and how do we worry, and why do we worry about their future.
Should Michelle Obama have spoken up in that instance, considering her husband had said, you know, lay off my wife, you know, it's about me?
Yeah, certainly she should have. There are a lot of people who should have spoken out. There are a lot of people on the left and tied to the Democrat Party and the Team Obama who have sat silently on the sidelines while all this misogynistic rhetoric is aimed not just at Mitt Romney, but pretty much every conservative woman in public life. And there again, I think Michelle Obama has gotten away with a lot of double talk, because at the same time that she says that we need more civility with regard to the public square, where do we see Michelle Obama? Sitting with David Letterman, who has said the most disgusting, vile things, not only about Sarah Palin, but about her children as well. There's so much hypocrisy that, you know, we could drown in it, because here's Michelle Obama. She's schlocking this garden book on every show on cable and mainstream TV from the beginning of the day to the end of the night, and nobody is going to ask her these tough questions about her behavior in the East Wing and about her failure to speak up for women, not just the women who are going to support her husband, but women in general in the workplace and stay-at-home moms as well.
Just for the record, she is invited on this program, as is President Obama, but so far I've had zero luck. I don't know why. I don't understand.
Yeah, too bad there's never going to be a head-to-head Michelle versus Michelle, because I'd love to vet
all the
the
rest
First
of the
Lady
media
in
is
person.
sucking up for these interviews. They're getting. I must be doing something wrong, or maybe right. Thank you, Michelle Malkin. Appreciate you being with us. And coming up.